Okay, thank you all for being here. My name is Tom Higgins, and I'm a 22-year resident of Chelsea. I'm lucky to be joined by my oldest daughter, Elizabeth, today. She's about to start her student teaching at Wyche Middle School. Special ed.
You'll be
And-
sorry. I used to teach there.
Oh, and of course my lovely wife Mandy, and our youngest daughter lives in Traverse City, working in sustainability. I love to ask questions, and I love to learn the story behind the people that I meet, and that was the reason for Time Travel with Tom, the idea that I had. And we thought it was a great idea with the 60th anniversary of the Senior Center to feature people that have had a big role or have participated a lot in the Senior Center. So I'm excited for today's guest. Let me tell you a little bit about who we're going to talk with today. There was a moment when we were sitting together, and I almost a light bulb went off in my head when I realized that I was meeting someone that I may have seen before, but I was learning about her artistic endeavors, about her service to the community and the Senior Center, and I thought to myself, I'm so lucky that I have the ability to meet people like today's guest that I can learn so much about. So please join me in welcoming Charlotte Wyche. So we are going to be a little free form, but I'm going to direct you a little bit, but feel free to bring up anything that you want. And I think it's important to understand maybe a little bit about the foundation of who you are or where you came from. So I know you're here in Chelsea, but maybe you didn't spend your whole life here.
No, I was born in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri. And when I was about 3, we came back to Michigan, which is where my dad's parents were, or his mother still. And so I grew up in Detroit, basically, which is really an important part of my youth. I love Detroit, and I've had opportunities to go back and explore Detroit in some really unique ways. And then we moved to Livonia when I was about 10, and we were part of the white flight from Detroit, which saddens me, but that's what happened. And grew up in Livonia. Always had a connection with Ann Arbor because I had an aunt who worked at the dental school, who taught at the dental school, which again is a sort of an integral part of who I am. So we always had Ann Arbor connections. When I was married, the first time I lived in Garden City, and my kids were born there. And then in the late 70s, I came back to Ann Arbor to go to school as a dental hygienist. And I've been in this area ever since. I loved Ann Arbor back in those days when it was a small town. And I moved to Chelsea after I married Don. We lived in North Ann Arbor off of Huron River Drive in the Lock Alpin subdivision. And then 20 years ago, 21 years ago now, we moved here to Chelsea after I caught him up on the roof cleaning out the gutters over the 2-story drop. I said, okay, condo time. So we bought a condo here in Chelsea, and I love living in Chelsea. It reminds me of the small town that I thought Ann Arbor was when I first got there. You know, I go out in town and I always see people I know, and that used to be Ann Arbor. Of course, it's no longer true there.
Yeah.
So I love Chelsea.
It's fun getting to know you, and now when I see your little orange crosstrack zooming around town, you know
Yeah.
that it's Charlotte.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of them. There actually are a couple of them around town, and one of my neighbors, his girlfriend, has one. And after he moved in, and she started showing up with this orange crosstrack, I had to talk with her, and I said, that is not allowed. Only one of those can be in my neighborhood. But she keeps coming in. Fortunately, he's right at the edge of the neighborhood, so she doesn't drive through, just,
So we're jumping ahead, but you have a special license plate, which whenever I see it, I know it's you.
no, yeah, my quilt, M-I quilt. And that's, I have several stories of people seeing that license plate and talking to me about quilting. It's kind of fun.
Does it stand for Michigan quilt, or however?
Yeah, however you want to read it, my quilt or Michigan quilt. Yeah,
It's great.
however you want to read it.
So back to your family. Did you have siblings?
I had 2 brothers and a sister. My sister and one of my youngest brother are both gone now. My brother, who's just a year younger than me, is now living in Chelsea. They just moved to CRC, the independent living. He is very, very compromised with Parkinson's disease. His wife is his caregiver, of course. So they could be in independent living because she actually cares for him. But they were living way out in the country south of here before and really isolating. So I'm glad that they're here.
It's good for
Really
everybody.
glad they're here.
Your parents, what did they do for a living?
My mother was a house mom. She came from Maine, which is interesting, and I got to visit that area of the country when I was just a young person several times, and that was kind of cool. I still really love Maine. My dad, he worked for, he was basically a salesman kind of person, and he worked for a number of different companies. The one I remember most, he worked for Acme Quality Paint. I don't think maybe it still exists, but he worked for them for a really long time, and they had some sort of an automotive division, and so he sold paint to the automotive companies. That's what he did.
Okay.
He died very young. He was only 67 when he died. But he smoked. My mom smoked. She died of lung cancer. And my dad died of lymphoma, but he had emphysema so bad that once he retired, he went down really fast. It was hard.
Yeah.
Sad.
Jumping ahead, you met Don in some kind of a funny way.
Oh.
I don't remember the details.
Yeah. Don was my second husband. I had been divorced for probably more than 10 years when I met him, and he had never married. He was a bachelor. He was a 50-year-old bachelor when I met him. I was 40 at that time, and we met each other the first time on a ski trip, a cross-country ski trip. And as he used to like to tell the tale, I ran off with another man. Apparently he was interested in me, but I ran off with another man, which relationship quickly crashed and burned. And then almost a year later, I met him again at a Halloween party. This was all through the Ann Arbor Ski Club. So a lot of my friends are still connected with that old Ann Arbor Ski Club. But I met him again at a Halloween party, and we went out several times. We went to basketball games in Japan to dinner and a few things. And then he went home, which was at that time in Canada with his brother. He went home for Christmas, and he never called me again. So what's up about that? Well, okay. By that time, I was getting into grad school. I had plenty of things to be thinking about, so whatever. So almost a year later, I met him again at the Ann Arbor Ski Club corn roast. And I went with a gal pal, and we were standing around the dance floor. They were square dancing, I think. And all of a sudden, he came charging across the dance floor, right across the dance floor, and asked me to dance with him. So we danced a few dances, and it was kind of fun. But when I was leaving with my friend, I said, well, that guy's a jerk, We dated for a while, and then he never called me again. Well, he called me the next day, and we went out. I was a grad student then, so he took me out to dinner all the time. And when you're a grad student, if someone feeds you, life is really good. So then we got together, got married. But it was hysterical because when we finally connected, but there's so many long stories. Don was a character. he wrote this letter to all his friends and sent it out with his Christmas card that we were getting together and I was gonna be moving in with him and da-da-da-da-da. We freaked everybody out because I had been single for a really long time and as far as everybody was concerned, very happily so. He, of course, had been single for a very long time. He had had other girlfriends, but freaked his family right out. That the two of us were getting together. So we really had fun with it. It was really fun. A lot of you know Lois, my sister-in-law Lois, who lives across the street. Lois was the break point in that Don took me when we were still dating. He took me to Cleveland to meet Lois and her husband Charlie, and I knew that if Lois didn't like me, I was toast. Fortunately, she did. And Don's other sister always said that I was the best thing he ever brought into his house. So, Dave and his family just loved that. But boy, we freaked him right out. When we decided to get married, it was great.
I remember you telling me that his family was stunned.
Oh, his family was stunned. And my friends were like, really? Because, I was perfectly happy doing what I was doing, and I was dating other people and all that stuff, but never anybody seriously. So, yeah, it was really fun. We had a good time with it.
So you have two boys.
I have two sons. They were not Don's kids. He used to say that your sons are your sons, but our grandchildren are our grandchildren. When my sons got married and had, another funny story, Don asked me to marry him kind of in December, I think it was, but asked me to marry him. And I said yes. I said, but we really have to wait a year because my oldest son is going to be married in June. And I said, I don't want to compete. That would not be fair. So I said, we have to wait at least a year to get married. And Don said, oh no, we're getting married in April because if your son is getting married in June, the mother should be married before the son is. So we got married in April. And to my son's credit and his lovely wife, Michelle, who I love so dearly, they said, you can get married on the same day. I don't care. So they were like embracing the whole thing too. So I said, but I don't want to compete. That's not fair.
That's fine. I remember when we were together, you texted a friend of Don's, one of his best friends, and it was one of your promises you made to Don. And it just, I think telling the story says a lot about it.
Don and Morton were friends for more than 50 years. And Morton is one of those people in the world who really has no one. His family is all gone, and he was really, when Don died, Morton was really upset and all that stuff. Anyway, I promised Don that I would look after Morton because if Don were still alive, it would be him that was doing that. So Morton now lived in a condo in Ann Arbor for all the years I knew him. But last Christmas he fell. And this is a great story about needing connection with someone in your life because Morton and I text each other every morning. We have for about 5 or 6 years now. And I texted and he didn't answer. And I texted again and he didn't answer. And I called both his phones and he didn't answer. So I knew something had happened. And I called the police, the non-emergency, and the police went over and did a wellness check and he had fallen on the bathroom floor. And he spent some time in the hospital and in and out, blah, 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 and all that. But anyway, currently he is over at CRC in the assisted living. And I still see him at least once a week now.
Well, you text him every day at 10
I text him every day at 10 a.m. I have an alarm that goes off because, you get busy and all of a sudden it's 11:30. And so, yeah, we still text every morning.
It was great. We were together at 10 a.m. and Charlie got the alarm, and she texted and told me the whole story. I thought, how great.
Well, good morning. Sometimes it's a whole story back and forth, but usually it's just good morning.
It doesn't
She's
matter.
usually just waking up, but.
Doesn't matter where you are in the world.
Doesn't matter where I am in the world, I text him at 10 o'clock a.m., wherever I am. So like when I was in Ireland, I think it was 3 in the afternoon here. But he's safe now, I don't need to worry about him. So it doesn't matter what time I text him. So I just tell him I'm gonna text you at 10 a.m. my time, because that's when my alarm's gonna go on. And so
Great.
I do every morning.
So it's wherever you are at 10 a.m.
Wherever I am at 10 a.m. Yep.
It's great. So let's progress into your work life. You were a stay-at-home mom for a period of time.
I was a stay-at-home mom for a period of time, yeah, and love that in a way. When the kids are little and they just, they're there and they care about you so much and all that stuff. And then lots of long stories, sort of realizing that I was probably going to need to at some point figure out how to support myself. I started out, I got an sort of inadvertent opportunity to be a dental assistant, which was kind of appealing. So I held the suction. That was basically all I did in most days. But I had the opportunity to do that. And when my marriage fell apart, I was talking to a friend, and I said, well, I guess, I'll go maybe I'll take some classes and I'll be a real dental assistant. I can actually be helpful. And she said, well, geez, why don't you be a dental hygienist? She had a college roommate who was a dental hygienist. And my Aunt Vicki, who taught at U of M here in Ann Arbor at the dental school for 37 years, was a dental hygienist. And so anyway, long story short, I think I was what do they call that when you're a relative of somebody and they let
Legacy.
you in? I think I was a legacy person at U of M. I think the only reason I really got in was because of Vicki. But no, I took some college classes ahead, and I was almost worth being accepted. But they accepted me, and I managed to get through the program, and so I'm a dental hygienist, which has been a fabulous career in many, 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 many ways for many reasons. Most of my career was in dental hygiene education. Again, my Aunt Vicki sort of had the pull on that. She was gone, but that's what she was a dental hygiene educator. And after practicing in private practice for, I don't even remember how many years, I was having some hand and wrist problems and decided I couldn't do that really for the rest of my life. So I went back to school. U of M accepted me again to finish up my bachelor's degree, because I had gotten a certificate when I first graduated as a dental hygienist. And then I went right into graduate school, and U of M actually employed me for my first position, although it wasn't a faculty position, it was a tech position. I was really incredibly supported by some people at U of M who really supported my career and my next steps. I taught clinical radiology. Even though I wasn't faculty, they let me teach students. I actually was in the clinical students teaching students. I did a couple of research projects with some folks and got stuff published. One of my mentors over there, Sharon Brooks, I don't know how she got the money. I think she gave me some of her travel money somehow. Sent me to an international conference in Chicago, but it was an international research conference with a little paper that we had done, and I got to stand up and be the presenter. So they incredibly mentored my career over there. But when I couldn't get a faculty position at U of M, there just wasn't anything right there. There was a position open at University of Detroit Mercy Dental School. And so I got hired over there. I taught community health and research methods and statistics, believe it or not. Special patient care, which I know you understand. I had some other opportunities around that too, which is kind of cool. But so I taught there for I don't know, 15 years or so. That was most of my career. And that goes back to the city of Detroit. University of Detroit Mercy is in the city of Detroit. And I was the community health person in the dental school, and especially in the dental hygiene program. So I spent much of my career running around the city of Detroit with students in various external settings and doing stuff around the city of Detroit. It was great. I loved it. I loved doing it. I had an opportunity to attend a program out of Wayne State University, a 2-week thing called Orientation Detroit, and it was originally established for journalists, but then they started having other people go in the school, and Detroit Mercy paid for me to attend this program. And they took us all over the city of Detroit, told us things about history. We had lunch on the stage at Orchestra Hall there. We went and did stuff at the hospital. It was the coolest thing. It was the best opportunity ever to learn about Detroit. I spent a good bit of time in the city of Detroit when I was a kid. We aren't talking about wait a minute, we aren't talking about the senior center.
We're getting there.
We're getting
We're getting there. This is good.
This is too much me.
It's all
But
you.
anyway, I
It's all
spent a
you.
lot of time in the art museum, the fabulous art museum, and the history museum downstairs, the children's museum. When I was a kid, we lived, for part of my kid time, we lived at 6 Mile in Woodward, and my dad worked right down in Hamtramck. We used to go, my brother and I used to go on Saturdays when we'd take the bus down to the art museum. So I spent hours in the art museum as a kid. It was great.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Couldn't do that today. We took the bus down, and we were little kids too. I know. It's scary. But it was great.
I know we want to move on to
Yeah,
the senior
talk
center,
about
but
the senior center.
your sister-in-law Lois told me once that you edited some dental hygiene book, and I'm like, I'm very simple, so I didn't really know what that meant, but I did a little research, and I learned about this woman, Esther Wilkins, and maybe you could just convey a little bit to the audience
I don't
what
wish
that
I
was
could-
all about.
I could talk for hours. I could tell you Esther stories for hours. Esther Wilkins was a dental hygienist, then a dentist, and then a periodontist. But her biggest claim to fame was when she was the head of the dental hygiene program out at the University of Washington. She developed a textbook called The Clinical Practice of a Dental Hygienist. It's currently, I believe, in its 14th edition. It is now called The Wilkins Clinical Practice of a Dental Hygienist, just like Gray's Anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that kind of book. I worked with Esther. I started I gave her some information, I think, in the 7th edition, so I was acknowledged in the 7th edition of the book. My personal edition of the book was the 4th edition that I used in school, which I still own because it was such an important book. And then during the 9th edition, she asked me to help contribute to, become a contributor to some chapters. And then she also, standing in the lunch line one day, she turned around and said, "How would you like to write a workbook to accompany the textbook in this next edition?" And I'm like, okay, sure, I could do that. So I was involved with this textbook with her. We finished the 12th edition, and not too long after that was released, she turned 100. And I was she lived in Boston, and then got moved into actually New Hampshire to a little nursing home there. That's a whole other story. She was dragged kicking and screaming, but at 100 years old almost. But anyway, I went to her birthday party, and I actually had dinner with her the night before her birthday. And she drank a glass of red wine and a glass of milk with her dinner. But anyway, the next morning, all of us went. There were a bunch of us that were going to this 100th birthday party, and they came in and told us she had had a stroke the night before. So we celebrated her birthday, and she died several days later. But pure Esther, that she would just say, okay, you guys are all set for my birthday party? Okay, I don't want to do this. I'm out of here. Working with a guy, oh my gosh, again, stories and stories and stories. I feel like Bill O'Reilly. I have a story about everything, but I could tell you Esther stories forever. Especially, I just told them about the time that 4 or 5 of us in a cab going somewhere. She was in the front seat with the cab driver, and the rest of us handed the cab driver a $20 bill after we got out. Because she was so awful about telling them where to go. Oh my God, you know, anyway. You can't go that way, you have to go all the way around. So I could tell Esther stories forever. She was just a treasure to work with. I learned so much. And then the 13th edition, long story, but somebody else took over the top position of it. And I was one of 3 of us and my name is actually on the front of the book on the 13th edition. So,
It's on the internet.
yeah, you know.
There's a picture.
Oh, yeah, probably. There's all kinds of stuff out there. I have a checkered past. I'm surprised you didn't find me.
I didn't go too
No, you didn't go too far.
Stop
Thank
it,
you.
Esther.
Thank you.
Okay, shall we talk about the senior center?
Yes, let's talk about the senior center. I thought that was the purpose of this.
That's a big part of it, but now we know a
Yeah.
lot about you.
Okay.
So you've done a lot at the senior center. What would you like to talk about or what stands out?
Well, I got started at the senior center because of the quilt group. Don was still alive then. Don used to play bridge at the senior center, and I think he did some other stuff too. But I never got, I was a member, but I never particularly got involved until, again, very long story, but a friend of mine who had been wanting me to do quilting forever, and I just never wanted to do it, signed me up for a thread sketching class, which is sketching with a sewing machine. And the class the workshop that we did, we were sketching on a photograph. Well, I had always kind of been a photographer, although as I always say, I never really embraced anything that made it art. I just took pictures. And so somehow that just caught my attention, and I decided I could do this. This would be really fun. I could take a photograph, get it printed on fabric, thread sketch it, and wow. And then after this workshop, the woman was talking about, well, then how to frame it, and you put it behind glass. Why would you put fabric behind glass? That's stupid. So I thought about it, and I said, well, what I really need to do is learn how to quilt so that I could surround my photographs with fabric. So I joined the quilt group here at the center, and I'm telling you, Mary Randolph, these people are my heart people, because this was less than a year probably before Don got sick that I actually joined the quilt group, and they were with me through that whole journey when Don was so sick and died, and they gave me a quilt and everything. They gave him a quilt, which I still have, but so that's how I got into quilting, and it's still kind of the best thing I do here at the senior center.
Well, I don't know how many people know Jan Bernath. Probably a lot of people do. And so she sold her house recently, and it was a green Victorian house.
green and pink and white.
green and pink. And so Charlotte showed me a picture of the quilt that she made, of the picture of her house. I don't know how you describe this, quilted?
Yeah, it's quilted.
The picture's quilted, and I think it's so cool. And the other day I drove by her house,
Oh,
and have you seen it
I
lately?
did too, they painted it as white as this color.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know.
So what a great
Jan must be
thing.
heartbroken.
Well, she has this terrific quilt
Yeah.
of her home.
She
So.
also has a watercolor that another one of her friends made for her at her house too, so she has many,
So did
many
it sell?
things.
Is it sold?
What,
The
her
house?
house, yeah,
In fact, I know she
and
was worried about
painted
that.
pure
for a while.
white. Yeah, oh yeah, it sold a while ago.
Oh, okay, good.
So anyway, quilting,
Yeah.
I asked them to hang this quilt here because this to me represents our quilt group in many, 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 many ways. This is what we call our COVID quilt. And it's called When Home Alone We Quilt Together. That's the title of it. And this was made while we couldn't get into the senior center every week to do our quilt group. We did go to one person's house a number of times who had a big Quonset hut, which is actually pictured up there, to meet. But we couldn't meet as frequently because of the COVID. But we had everybody do a different house square, and then we put it all together. And that's our COVID quilt from our group. And this to me just really explains how our quilt group operates. We do all kinds of quilting. Mary, you'll know more than me, but we've probably given 100 quilts away, 1,000 quilts away.
Approaching 1,000 quilts.
Approaching 1,000
Wow.
quilts since I joined the.
And is a
thing.
quilt this, or quilt
Sometimes smaller.
Yes,
Sometimes
it's the
small.
whole piece.
the whole thing?
The whole
Yes.
thing. We give them to all kinds of different charity kinds of things. For a long time, it was mostly the U of M bone marrow transplant unit, Jewish Family Services, some a group that supports Ukrainian
Action.
Faith in Action. We've given
St.
quilts.
Louis Center.
St. Louis Center, yeah, we give quilts. And if you ever want to see quilts that our group makes, we have some amazingly talented women in our group. We have a rotating, every couple of weeks we change the quilts that are hanging in room 111 down the hall there. Just go peek in there and you'll see all kinds of amazing, amazing, amazing quilts that are all donation quilts. They all are given away. We don't sell them. If we put a few up for auction, when somebody really wanted a quilt, we put it up for auction either at Faith in Action or someplace, and we figured they could go auction, go give their money to Faith in Action or wherever. We had the quilts. But we're such a cool group. And we have so much fun.
I don't know if everyone knows the name of this group.
It's the Caddy Corner Quilters. CAADY, and that stands for Chelsea, Ann Arbor, Dexter, and Ypsilanti, which is where the women in the first part of the group first started were from. So we're the Caddy Corner Quilters, and we have a label on every quilt that looks like this. It's usually in the back. It looks like this. It's a corner quilt label, and it says Caddy Corner Quilters on it. And it usually says made especially for you by the Caddy Corner Quilters. We've gotten a ton of thank you notes from folks that have gotten our quilts, things like that too, just for kind of fun.
What a great.
When you get, yeah. And Mary makes our labels. Mary makes every one of our labels. Just beautiful printing.
Are you doing just machine quilting?
Yeah, well, we have a couple of members that do some hand quilting, but yeah, everything is machine quilted. Everything is
I'm
machine
struck by
quilted.
this one, which if you can't see,
Oh,
It
she
looks
just
almost-
took some pictures of her home and made it into a composite, and that's her quilt. Just,
I see.
yeah.
Which one is yours?
I knew someone would ask that. See if you can figure it out. Which one would you guess?
It must be above here.
Actually, it is, but yeah. it's got dog paw prints on it.
Oh, yeah, for
Because-
Marley.
Yeah, for Marley. My little Marley used to be the official catty corner quilt dog. And he used to come every Tuesday, and everybody watch out, because he'd sneak out of the room if he could. But then the school system reminded us that there aren't supposed to be dogs on school property.
Oh,
So, Marley got
Oh, there it is.
sidelined. There it is, yeah, that's my, my goofy house.
And so, I want to talk more about quilting, but this hangs in the Ease the Day room.
This
right?
currently hangs in the East the Day room in room 100, is that what it
100.
is? Yeah.
And so, when you were at the Trin Piper Memorial, you said you were sitting next to Lori Coriel.
Yeah.
You want to tell that story? And
Yeah, Lori Coriel and I were sitting next to each other and talking about Trin and missing her when we were at her, I think you were at the table as well, Jennifer. We were sitting there missing her and talking about how she always worked to make community connections and just that kind of stuff. And we said, there must be something we could do to honor that and make some sort of a project that would honor that. And I said, well, we could make a quilt. And I think we had not too long ago finished this, and we've done several other sort of community quilts that we've donated, not houses, but other things. And so I said, well, we could make a quilt, and a bunch of people could participate in it, and we could call it a community quilt. So anyway, we started to hatch this plot, and we were sitting there, and it was like we said later, we said Trin was sitting right between us, directing the conversation. I swear it's true. So we hatched this plot with all these, we hadn't done this yet, because it was
this was
before
2020.
COVID. It was before COVID. At any rate, so we said we hatched this thing with, we're gonna do these workshops at the library, and we'll get people in, and kids and whoever, and we'll help them make a quilt square, and then we can sew them all together and make a big giant quilt. And Lori said, yeah, we'll hang it in the hallway, and we had the place, we had this thing all set up before we left that memorial. We were shaking hands going, okay, this is gonna happen. So we started, I worked with the library, and we set some stuff up. And we had a series of workshops set up to make 12-inch quilt squares, to help people do that in the Ingenuity engine at the library. We I think we had two or three workshops before COVID shut everything down, and we couldn't do it anymore, but oh my God, it was so much fun. We had several of the quilt ladies came and helped, and we had all this fabric cut into squares, all this, and the kids, we had kids as young as, 4 maybe, that came, and we worked with them to make a quilt square. It was so much fun. After we shut down with COVID, the library said, we can't do the workshops anymore because we can't have everybody in here. So we made quilt square kits, and handed them out with directions, instructions, and people could come in, I guess one at a time. They could come in if they needed some help or something. Anyway, the library really took over on that. So in the end, we had 106 quilt squares, each made by a different individual. Now, a couple of them were signed by infants whose mother made the thing for them. And I actually made one for Marley because there was a moment in time where we needed a certain number of quilt squares, and I wasn't sure we were going to get them. But then at the last minute, a bunch more came in. So I was afraid we wouldn't have enough, so I made one for Marley. So Marley has a quilt square in the. So then we end up with 107 quilt squares. So if you go to the library today, take a look at if you go into the library and go up the stairs, at the left of the stairs, there's a gigantic, huge quilt hanging that has, I think, 89 of the squares in it, and then some banners that hang on the side that are the other squares that we put together. And Lori said that's gonna be a permanent installation in the library, that's our community art quilt. And then the library did a bunch of stuff about, there are plaques that honor Trin and the story of putting it, deciding to do it. And all the people are listed, everyone who made a square is listed. It turned out to be the really coolest project.
It is really.
It was really cool. And thanks to, especially to Mary, because she even came over to my house to help me. That thing is huge, and trying to get parts of it together was huge. And the quilt ladies helped, we brought it over, because we had the big tables, and we were able to spread it all out and get it all put together. It worked. Don't look too closely at some of the stitching, but, because it was big, but.
We wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
It's neat how there's a name and a number.
Yep, and the library, Matt, I don't remember what his last name
Jensen.
is it
Right,
Jensen?
Jensen.
Matt from the library made a really cool plaque, a wooden plaque with everything. It's got the diagram of the quilt on it and numbers, and it's really cool how they set it up, what they did with it. So, yeah.
That's really neat.
I know, it turned out to be really good. 106 different quilt squares from our community that got made.
It was fun for me looking at it. I've seen it before, but I studied it this time, and to see names listed,
Mhm.
like, oh, I didn't know they did that. I didn't know they contributed to this.
Yeah, a lot of people,
It's really
there's a
cool.
lot of people. Lois has a quilt square. Lois made one,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yes.
I helped, but she made one. Bill O'Reilly, I have pictures of Bill O'Reilly on a sewing machine. I made him do it, I made him come here to the quilt group one day, said, okay, you're making a square. Actually, he embraced the whole thing, and he sent away for some specific tartan fabric
Of course.
that he needed to include in it. So, yeah.
I have more quilt questions, but I want to stay with the senior center. So this lives in the Ease the Day room.
This lives in the East of the Day.
And just for a moment about me, I'm one of the newer volunteers with Ease the Day. And I joined because Mandy, my wife, would come home and tell me about what went on during Ease the Day. And she thought it was really a great experience for her. So she inspired me to become a volunteer. But you have been doing this a lot longer.
Yeah, in fact, I think I was there the first week, I think, when it first started up. I so many times in my life I said, I'm the consummate volunteer. I'll volunteer for almost anything. Ask Tammy, she just got me on a committee for the condo. But anyway, I'll volunteer for, I've done a lot of volunteer in a lot of places in the world and all kinds of different things. But this to me has been my heart volunteer. It's such a fabulous program. And I don't know, if you don't know what Ease the Day is, they have a brand new brochure that you should take a look at, which is what I should have brought some. We provide up to 4 hours, up to twice a week of respite care for caregivers who are caring for a loved one who either cognitive issues or some physical issues where they are really doing intense caregiving and need a break. And we bring the folks here, we call them our friends. We bring them to the senior center, or they bring them to the senior center, and can drop them off for as much as 4 hours, I think it is. We do all kinds of activities with them. They have lunch here, mixed with the senior center members in many ways. In fact, it's one of the most incredible things about the program is that unless you know the secret of the color of the name tag, you probably can't tell who's a friend and who's a volunteer, because we're all in there playing noodle ball or dancing or puzzles or word games, whatever. And I venture to say there are folks who can't tell the difference between who's who, except the secret of the color of the name tags. But it's the best program ever. It's the best program ever, both for the caregivers, which was the intent. But from my perspective as a volunteer, what we're really doing is what we do with our friends who many of whom have no idea that they're in a special program. They're just at the senior center with their friends. And that's the really cool thing.
It is a neat experience.
It's a neat experience.
And Mandy would come home sometimes and tell me about what happened during moving and grooving. And I kind of laugh, like it sounds so silly. And now that I've gone to moving and grooving, it's great. Everyone generally comes alive, or more engaged once they have those foam
Yeah.
noodles in their hands. It's really fun.
Mhm. We also do cardio drumming, and for a variety of reasons, now we do it with those foam, we use noodles and cut them down, and we instead of drumsticks. But we're in the regular class with the regular cardio drumming people who are also back there doing with their drumsticks. And not every one of our friends does exactly what's supposed to be done. Some of them just do their own little thing, and some of them do all kinds of weird things, and some of them, whatever. I mean, they don't have to follow whatever they're doing. It doesn't matter. That we're all having fun. We're all doing
Yeah,
a good thing.
it's a great program.
Yeah, it is.
You were on the
It's
board of the senior center, and also
Yeah.
maybe you want to talk about COVID, that whole experience.
Well, yeah, I was on the board, obviously before COVID, but just after I got elected president of the board, which was kind of a far stretch of stuff. But anyway, I got elected president of the board, and then they shut the place down, you know. I think I got elected, I was in December, I got, okay, I'm gonna be the new chair of the board here. And then they shut us down. So my biggest contribution to that whole thing, truly, was learning how to run a meeting on Zoom. That's not easy. We all learned how to do it.
Yeah.
That was my biggest contribution. Although we also did some good strategic planning and some other kinds of things while we were shut down. But where I really want to go with that whole story is not what I did as chair of the board or on the board or anything like that, but what the staff did when COVID shut us down. Nobody could come in the building but the staff. So what do you do with all of that? We have, we had 1,200 members at that point, or 1,100 members or something. Many of whom were in and out of this building on a daily basis. What do you do with that? How do you shut down the whole thing that we're doing? And the staff just came up and said, okay, what's really, really important here? We got not Easy Day, but Meals on Wheels that have to go out every day. So the staff, because nobody else, no volunteers could come into the building at all, staff went into the kitchen, cooked the meals, fixed the meals, packaged it all up, put it in the little coolers, and then got in the car and drove it all around. The staff set up groups of us that would call a group of people. We made calls once a week or so to all of our members virtually got regular calls. How are you doing? Do you need anything? And I'm sure that staff in the senior center went out and got groceries for somebody who needed it and that kind of stuff. That to me was the most amazing thing that happened during the COVID shutdown thing. The staff just made the senior center still an incredibly important, viable piece of what needed to be going on in this community and keeping people from being so isolated. I mean, many were isolated, but I can tell you because I was on the call thing, I call to people regularly, and they were so tickled. I don't need anything, but gosh, it's good to hear your voice. So, and I still remember Bill talking about the smiles in the building that first week we reopened. He said that was just the thing. He said the smiles. Just, we're here again.
Yeah. It must have been a great homecoming for people that
Oh,
joined,
yeah.
for members and for the staff.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good. It was really good. I see Jennifer back there. She knows. I can't believe what you guys did. It was Bill, of course, and Jennifer, Meredith, Mackenzie.
That's when we had the other Emily
Okay, who else?
Mary wasn't, she needed to stay home for health reasons, so it seemed like there was one more person.
Yeah, I mean, what are we talking, 5, 6 people?
Right.
That kept Meals on Wheels, and that, to me, was the amazing thing. And, you know, in a way, they never really got credit for that. Nobody sang that from the rooftops that they were doing that. They just did it.
And for how long?
A year?
Yeah, right.
A year, yeah, about a year. I know. I bet you no other senior center in the whole country had that happen. I bet you. I mean, I know senior centers in general struggle to figure out what could they do, but these guys just did it. They just did it.
That was really great. I want to take a pause for a second. If anyone has any questions for Charlotte, the floor is yours.
Could
Yeah.
you just tell them a little about on Ease the Day, I mean, it's such a great program, but it does take a little from you too, you know, it's not an easy task all the time.
Yeah,
Because
it gives more than it takes, let me
Yes.
tell you. Although I'm very careful to guard. I have my 1 day a week that I come in to Ease the Day, and I will occasionally fill in for somebody else on the second day of the week, but I take care not to do that because I don't want to burn myself out. You could burn out. But what's really cool about it is that, and it's not always easy to meet them exactly where they are. If what they want to talk about is, I don't know, the bugs crawling in their peanut butter, we talk about that. If what they want to do is take a walk around the building, we offer an arm and they walk around the building. And I think it's one of the most important things that we try to do is meet them exactly where they are. It's easier for the volunteers to do that in a way than family because we don't know who they were before. We only know who they are now. So it's, in a way, it's easier for us to do that, but sometimes it's pretty weird.
but when they have to leave,
Yeah,
that's the hard part.
yeah, and believe me, I've lost a few favorites, and you cry. You just do. They're on a journey that isn't going upward, isn't gonna keep coming back tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And so there comes a time when they need to move on, in part because we have, there are certain things, we're not a nursing establishment, they have to be still capable enough of moving themselves around, toileting, eating on their own, those kinds of things. We can provide some help and assistance with stuff, but so there reaches a point where they must move on, and many of them move into residential kinds of things. I've actually gone and seen a couple of them that have moved on to like the CRC, what's it called, Housley. And in fact, I was visiting my friend in the assisted living, and I ran into one of our former participants, one of our former friends and his wife. He didn't remember me, but he did remember the program at the senior center. He remembered coming there. So when his wife and I were talking to him, and she said, "Remember, Charlotte is from the senior center. He's the day." Oh yeah, he said. And, yeah. So, but yeah, it is. I've gone to 1 or 2 funerals of some of our folks that are. It's really hard when they have to move on. That's part of life. Mary.
You want to talk about your art quilts
Oh.
and where they have been exhibited?
I think I told you, well, we were talking about Jan's house. I do quilted photographs, and I actually, because Tom tilted me, I brought a few. I'll pull one out because this is one of my newer pieces, and I'm very pleased with this one. It's not a sweet little house. It's kind of an edgier, kind of goofy thing.
Oh, is it?
This one will be exhibited at Grand Rapids Art Prize again this year. I had one last year that was exhibited. And there's actually another gal in my neighborhood that she and I both have had books, and she's got one this year too.
I'll hold that one.
So,
Take that one out.
Well, I don't know, I don't wanna make a big deal thing. I brought a couple.
Make a
this is
big
fun.
deal, these are beautiful.
They're fun, they're fun. This is a very early one I did. This was the picture of a rhinoceros that I took at the zoo when my grandson and I were there, grandsons and I were there a bunch of years ago. I took that photograph, and it's called Rockin' Rhinoceros because he's standing next to a rock, and it's the same color as he is.
So how do you do this? So you took the picture and then you
I
get
have
the
it,
ticket.
it gets printed on fabric, and then I just quilt it. You can look at it more closely. You can see it's just quilted around around the photograph. And then I do a fabric surround, a quilted surround of some kind. The one I did for Jan has a standardized quilt form called a log cabin block that is part of the surround, because of the house log cabin. Makes sense when I did it. And then this is one I just recently did. I didn't really make a surround for it because it just called for being only on its own. So this is an old wooden embroidery hoop that I was gifted a whole pile of them. I have one or two larger ones and a bunch of smaller ones, and I've been trying to figure out what to do with them. And Mary, I stained it brown and perfect. Mary, I was looking at it, and it's just, because it was kind of blonde wood, and it just didn't look right. And I'm, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
What can I do with that? Just stain it brown. Oh, okay, that's what I did. So, that's what I do, and it's fun, and I have like about 1 million of them hanging all over my house. Anybody that comes in is like, what is all this? So, well, I'll tell you, I have exhibited a couple times through the Ann Arbor Fiber Arts Guild. I've had some pieces hung in the Power Center, and then in a little theater in Canton called the Village Theater. They do shows there, and so I've had some pieces hung there. And this is hot off the presses. I have to tell you this. I just got for sure. I double checked for sure, so I can't announce this until I double check for sure. But next May and June, I'm going to have a solo artist show at the Silver Maples Gallery.
Oh, wow.
So I'm really, so now I'm really working on some pieces. So I'm
That's
excited.
great.
I'm excited.
You are very accomplished.
Well, I don't know. I sure have fun. That's, yeah.
Well, Art Prize has been going on for 16 years, and I've never gone to it, but after learning that you and your friend are being exhibited there,
Yeah.
Mandy and I made plans to go.
Oh, it's fun. It's really fun. If you've never been to Art Prize, they have art all over the city, outside and inside. And one year there were horses in the river, and art horses or whatever. And it's all over the city, big pieces and little pieces and tiny pieces, and all over. Every store, every place has art in it, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. This piece will be exhibited, and I should have looked it up because now I don't remember the name of the building. It's a couple blocks off the main street, and they have a hallway in one of the historic buildings behind a little store called, oh shoot, now I don't remember, something Fog is the name of this little store that accepted my piece for exhibit. But my friend, you have to look for her piece. My friend Kathy Landing in my neighborhood, her piece is going to be at the Gerald R. Ford Museum, which is a big time thing. The fact that she's being exhibited there is, oh man, that's one of the main places that people go to look for really good art. And hers is a quilted version of New York City. that she made for her grandson. It's fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous.
Where is this? Is it?
In Grand Rapids.
Grand
Yep, and it's September 18th through October 4th or something like that. So, and it's all over the city, and you just go down there and you walk around, and you can get booklets, I think, too, to tell you where things are. And it's online, too. You can look up stuff online. It's all over the city. It's fabulous. You could go and spend the whole month down there. You really could. And still not see it all.
The name of the store is Periwinkle Fall.
Periwinkle Fog, thank you, I knew it was a weird name. So, yeah, Periwinkle Fog, and it's off the main drag, a couple blocks,
That's
but
where
it's
this one's
still,
gonna be?
that's where this one will be. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting how they do it, the venues. It's all done online. You put up your art and say, here I am, you want to display me, and the venues come and look, and you look at venues, and you can choose venues, and you get back and forth, and you make a connection then. So it's the venues that actually jury the art in the sense that they choose which art they want to exhibit. And it's not just two-dimensional, there's three-dimensional, there's performance art, there's all kinds of amazing things. Last year they had this gigantic, huge, and I missed the whole thing because I didn't go that day, but they had this gigantic, huge puppet that climbed up the side of, they made it climb up the side of the big hotel there, where that big hotel is, downtown.
Amway Grand.
Amway Grand, climbed up the side of the Amway Grand as part of the opening ceremonies. And then it was displayed in a vacant place that was actually right next to the hotel where my last year piece was displayed, which was kind of cool. So I think more people probably saw my piece because they came to that area, yeah, last year. So yeah, it's really cool. If you have a chance to go, it's absolutely worth the trip.
We're
So,
doing it. You sold us.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm going to be in the Canadian Maritimes with Bill O'Reilly and that group for most of that. I have to go on the 16th to hang my piece, which is before it actually starts, although I think a lot of stuff will be up. So I'll probably stay a couple days and then scooch off to the Maritimes. We're coming back the 1st or 2nd of October, and so I'll scoot right back to Grand Rapids to catch the closing of it. But yeah, it's cool. You gotta go.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
We're going. We're going.
We're gone.
Charlotte, is there anything I should have asked you that you wish I had?
Oh, I wish we'd talked about Isle Royal, but
Well,
mostly because
I did have a
that
travel
was a
section.
real connection.
Yeah, so I have been to Isle Royal 3 times in the last 12 months. It's been a little bit of an obsession. And Charlotte's been there 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
She's seen a lot more than I have.
I've been there 4 or 5 times. I've probably hiked every trail. That was back in the day when I still had an ankle that worked and I could backpack.
Yeah, there's a whole travel section
Yeah.
that I wanted to talk to you about because you've done so much.
But it's 2 o'clock. We don't get them off.
But the clock is ticking. You probably need to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm a traveler. Don and I were travelers. We traveled a lot of places, and I still love to travel.
what stood out to me is that you spent a lot of time in some places. Like you went to Australia for 3 months. So you're almost like a resident.
My favorite thing to do, well, we traveled all over Australia, but my favorite thing to do is to go and spend some time somewhere. And a number of the last few winters, I've gone down to different places and spent 6 weeks or 8 weeks in the winter where it's warm. That's what I really like to do. I don't get to do it as often as I'd like to, but that's what I really like to do, is live there.
Mhm.
But yeah, Australia, that was the trip of a lifetime, oh man. But we traveled all over. I saw more of Australia than most Australians do.
That's great.
I really did. It was fun. I even went camping camping in Australia. That was very cool. I did, up in the North Outback. We did a camping tour. And everything was supplied, including the swag. You hear about the swag, which is the bedroll?
No.
Oh, well, that's what it's called. It's called the swag, and it's the bedroll that you get to sleep in, and it was canvas, and I couldn't pick it up. It was that heavy. It was huge.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We had, oh my gosh, yeah, we had lamb stew cooked on the open fire, toast on the open fire. It was great.
That
It was
is
really
great.
fun. I could tell stories
I don't
forever.
wanna stop you, but I mean,
I don't wanna, it's really never fair to keep people after you've told them that.
then let me bring it to a close, and we can certainly talk afterwards.
Yeah.
Charlotte, it was wonderful getting to know you better, so thank you for being here.
I have enjoyed getting to know you. It was really fun because I think very early on, somehow we came to Isle Royal and it was like, Glom, we got this, and then we talked about Isle Royal for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then it says, wait, I gotta ask you some questions.
So Mandy and I went last month.
Yeah, I heard, I
and
would
she
love
loved
to
it.
hear.
First time,
Yeah.
she loved it.
It's an amazing place.
Yeah, it's great.
It's an amazing place.
So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Next month is Marianne Nelson, I believe. And anyway,
Okay,
this is great stuff.
it's fun. I have